Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are heading down to Australia.
Ooh, Australia.
Yeah, to investigate one of their most, I guess you could say, enduring UFO
I
mysteries.
like it.
The Tully saucer nest incident.
Classic.
Have you heard of this one?
I have, yeah, this is a good one.
You might be thinking, oh, another UFO story.
Or another, blurry lights kind of thing.
Exactly, but this one is different.
Yeah.
This one's got some physical evidence, some official investigations, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of it today.
A lot of head scratching.
A lot of head scratching. We're going to be sifting through firsthand accounts. We're going to look at the evidence and, of course, explore the various theories that have emerged over the years.
What I think is so interesting about the Tully incident is that it goes beyond, like you said, those kind of like usual narratives of UFOs. We're not just dealing with like blurry photos or people saying they saw something for a brief second. There's like tangible evidence that's puzzled researchers for decades.
Okay, so let's set the scene. All right.
It's January 1966, rural Queensland, Australia.
Okay.
We're near a place called Horseshoe Lagoon.
Ooh, Horseshoe Lagoon.
Yeah, it's a remote area surrounded by sugarcane fields and swampland.
Already sounds kind of spooky, right?
I know.
Right.
A little bit.
So the isolation of the location, I think that's pretty key here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this wasn't a sighting in a bustling city.
Right.
This is a truly isolated incident, far from prying eyes.
Oh, so like X-Files theme music is already playing in my head.
Right.
So tell me about this evidence. Who discovered it?
Well, it all starts with a banana farmer named George Pedley,
Okay.
just going about his workday, driving his tractor near the lagoon, when all of a sudden he hears this incredibly loud, ear-piercing hissing sound.
Oh my gosh.
And this is something much louder than his tractor engine. Can you imagine what must have been going through his mind?
I would think my tractor was about to explode.
Right.
Like, that's it, I'm done.
But what George sees next is far more bizarre than a mechanical breakdown.
He claims to see this large saucer-like object rising from the lagoon itself.
What?
Yeah, he described it as being like silvery gray or bluish gray, shaped like two saucers kind of stuck together face to face. And get this, a whopping 29 to 30 feet in diameter.
So now you said physical evidence. So did George find something at the scene?
He did. When he went to investigate the spot where this object had risen, he discovered what has become known as the saucer nest.
Okay.
It was a circular pattern about 9 meters in diameter, flattened into the reeds of the lagoon.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. Some of the reeds appeared fused together as if they'd been exposed to like intense heat.
Okay, so now things are getting really interesting.
Yeah.
So we have a credible witness, some pretty strange physical evidence. What happened next? Did anyone else investigate?
Well, news of the Tully saucer nest spread like wildfire.
I bet.
I mean, it was a media frenzy. Newspapers, radio, everyone was talking about it. And naturally, people started trying to come up with explanations.
I bet the alien theories were flying high.
Oh, yeah. But there were other attempts to explain it away. Some meteorologists suggested it might have been a whirlwind or a water spout. Those are fairly common in that area during the wet season.
Okay.
But as you might have guessed, whirlwinds don't usually fuse reeds together.
No, they don't.
Not typically, no.
So the whirlwind theory doesn't quite cut it.
Right.
What about a hoax?
Ooh, a hoax.
Yeah, because, we all know about those crop circle hoaxers who are pretty good at creating, intricate designs. Could something similar have happened here?
That's a valid question. And it's true that the confession of Doug and Dave, back in the 90s, cast a shadow of doubt over a lot of crop circle cases.
Yeah, definitely.
But you have to remember the Tully incident happened decades before their activity.
Right, in the 60s.
Yeah, and their methods involved flattening crops with planks and ropes.
Right, it's like a totally different thing.
Yeah, they couldn't replicate those fused reeds or scorch marks.
So if it wasn't a natural phenomenon or a hoax, what else could it be?
Well, there are a few other theories floating around. Some people have pointed to something called orgone energy.
Orgone energy.
Orgone energy.
Okay, I gotta admit, that one's new to me.
This is where things get a little more out there.
Okay.
It's a concept that comes from a scientist named Wilhelm Reich. He believed that there's this universal life force, which he called orgone, that permeates everything.
Okay.
So some proponents of this theory suggest that this orgone energy might have somehow interacted with the lagoon and created those patterns.
Okay, I'm trying to keep an open mind, but that does sound a little far-fetched.
A little bit, yeah.
Even for a UFO story. So did any official organizations investigate the Tully saucer nest?
Yes, the Royal Australian Air Force
Okay, the RAAF.
got involved after the initial police investigation. They were primarily concerned about national security, wanting to rule out any potential threat from unknown aircraft.
So what did the RAAF conclude? Did they manage to solve the mystery?
Unfortunately, no. They determined that no military or civilian aircraft were operating in the area at the time of George Pedley's sighting.
Okay.
There was a brief consideration that it might have been a helicopter, but that was quickly ruled out. A helicopter wouldn't be able to land in that swampy area, and it wouldn't explain the fused reeds.
Right.
So ultimately, the RAAF investigation was inconclusive.
So the official investigation hit a dead end, but I'm guessing the story doesn't end there.
Oh, no.
There must have been more going on in Tully than just George Pedley sighting.
You're absolutely right, and that's where things get even more intriguing. We have to delve into those local accounts. The stories from people in the Tully region who witnessed other strange events around the same time.
Okay, let's hear it. What were people saying?
Well, first you have to understand that in a small town like Tully, people are often reluctant to talk about these kinds of things.
Yeah, that.
You know, they're afraid of being ridiculed,
Oh, sure.
labeled as crazy or worse.
Right.
But despite the fear of judgment, there were others who came forward with their own experiences.
So George Pedley wasn't the only one who saw something strange in the skies above Tully.
Not at all.
Yeah.
In fact, even Albert Panisi, the owner of the property where the original saucer nest was found, had his own encounter. He reportedly saw the saucer himself.
No way.
Years after Pedley's sighting, but he was very hesitant to speak about it publicly.
I can understand that small towns can be tough on people who go against the grain. It takes a lot of courage to speak up about something that others might find unbelievable.
Absolutely. And that reluctance to come forward is a recurring theme in UFO research.
Okay.
It makes you wonder how many other incidents like this go unreported simply because people are afraid of the consequences.
It's a shame, really, because those untold stories could hold valuable clues to understanding what's really going on. But if people are too afraid to speak up, we'll never get the full picture.
That's a crucial point. The fear of ridicule. You know, it acts as a barrier to collecting data and conducting thorough investigations.
Right.
But the stories from Tully don't end there.
Okay.
There are accounts from others in the area who claim to have seen strange objects in the sky.
Okay, this is getting really interesting. Tell me more about these other sightings. What did people see?
Well, before we get to those other eyewitness accounts, you might be wondering, why the RAAF couldn't pinpoint any aircraft in the area.
Right.
Well, you got to remember, radar technology in 1966
Yeah.
wasn't quite as advanced as it is today.
Right.
It's kind of like, think like a flashlight in the dark.
Okay.
Back then, the flashlight wasn't as powerful, so it might have missed something, small or moving in an unusual way.
Right.
Plus, we're dealing with something truly unconventional.
Yeah.
It might not even register on their radar at all.
That makes sense. It's like trying to spot a firefly with a floodlight.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get back to those other witnesses. What kind of stories were they sharing?
There's this chilling account from two children who were fishing on the lagoon a couple of years after Pedley's sighting.
Okay.
They claim to have seen a saucer-shaped object land on the water and then vanish right before their eyes.
Talk about a fishing story to tell for the rest of your life.
Right. Wow. And then there's the story of a man driving at night who encountered a saucer hovering right in front of his car.
Ooh, that one sounds like something straight out of a Spielberg movie.
Right.
Did this man report his sighting to anyone?
Unfortunately, a lot of these witnesses, like Albert Panisi, chose to remain silent for years,
Yeah.
fearing ridicule or disbelief.
Right.
It wasn't until much later that some of them felt comfortable sharing their experiences.
That really highlights a crucial challenge in UFO research, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If people are afraid to come forward, we end up with a very incomplete picture of these events.
Yeah, it's like trying to solve a puzzle with only half the pieces.
Exactly.
It's a constant battle against the stigma associated with these topics.
Okay, so we have multiple witnesses, a strange nest with fused reeds, and an inconclusive investigation. It's a real head scratcher. But then the 1980s and 90s saw like a surge in crop circle reports. And with the Doug and Dave confession, wasn't the Tully incident sort of lumped in with all those hoaxes?
There's no doubt that the crop circle craze had a significant impact on how people perceived unexplained events, like the Tully incident.
Right.
However, it's important to remember that while Doug and Dave admitted to faking some crop circles,
Yeah.
their methods using ropes and planks
Right.
couldn't explain the physical evidence found in Tully.
Right.
Those fused reeds and scorched patterns are unique to this case.
It's like comparing a child's drawing to a masterpiece.
Right.
Just because someone can scribble a circle doesn't mean they can create the Mona Lisa.
Exactly. Each case needs to be examined based on its own merits.
Sure.
The Tully incident predates the whole crop circle craze by decades, and the complexity of some of those later nests with multiple rings, varying swirl directions, and even a curved formation.
Wow.
Suggests something more sophisticated than a couple of guys with planks and ropes.
That's a great point. The fact that those later nests became more elaborate over time is really intriguing. It's as if whatever was creating them was evolving.
Yeah, that's one of the most perplexing aspects of this case.
Right.
We're not just dealing with a static phenomenon. It seems to be dynamic, even progressive in some way.
Now, you mentioned that there were reports of scorch marks on trees in the area that's pretty unsettling. Was there any connection between those marks and the saucer nests?
It's hard to say for sure. The scorch marks were reported in 1969, a few years after the initial incident.
Okay.
Some believe they're further evidence of some unusual activity, but without concrete evidence linking them directly to the nests, it's all speculation.
It adds another layer of mystery, that's for sure. And then there's the story of Shane Panisi, the son of the landowner, who claimed that canisters of film went missing from their property.
Oh, yeah?
He believes they were taken by Australian intelligence. What's the story there?
A bit of a murky tale, according to Shane. His father, Albert, was told by someone claiming to be from the Australian Security Intelligence Organization, ASIO,
Okay.
that the film canisters had been taken because they contained sensitive information. Now, what that information might have been, we just don't know.
That's incredibly intriguing. It suggests a level of official interest in the Tully events that goes beyond just the RAAF investigation. Are there any theories about what might have been on those missing films?
Some speculate that the film might have contained images or footage of the saucers themselves,
Ooh.
evidence that someone wanted to keep hidden.
If that's the case, it would certainly fuel the speculation about a cover-up. So we have these bizarre events, multiple witnesses, inconclusive investigations, and whispers of government secrecy. It's like a real-life X-Files episode unfolding in rural Queensland.
Right.
But where does this all leave us? What can we glean from the Tully saucer nest incident after all these years?
Well, I think the Tully case, despite remaining unsolved, offers some valuable insights into how we approach the unexplained. It demonstrates the challenges of investigating these types of phenomena, especially when dealing with limited technology, reluctant witnesses, and possible official secrecy.
It sounds like we need a more open-minded and scientifically rigorous approach to investigating these events, one that considers all possibilities without jumping to conclusions or dismissing eyewitness accounts.
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay, good.
The Tully incident should serve as a reminder that our understanding of the universe is constantly evolving. There may be things out there, phenomena we haven't even begun to comprehend, that challenge our current scientific models.
So are we saying that science has failed us in the case of Tully?
Not at all. Science is a process of continual discovery, of refining our understanding as we gather more evidence. Tully, with its lingering questions and tantalizing hints, highlights the need for continued research and investigation in the field of unexplained phenomena.
It's like a puzzle we haven't quite solved yet, but who knows, maybe someday with new technologies and a more open-minded approach, we'll finally unlock the secrets of the Tully saucer nest.
Until then, it serves as a captivating reminder that there's still so much out there that we don't understand.
Yeah.
And that, in my opinion, is what makes the pursuit of knowledge so fascinating.
It's the mystery that keeps us exploring, keeps us asking questions. So what do you think? Is there anything else we can learn from the Tully case that might help us understand similar incidents?
I think one of the key takeaways here is the importance of listening to eyewitnesses and taking their accounts seriously.
Okay.
Too often, people who report unusual experiences are dismissed or ridiculed, which discourages others from coming forward.
It creates a vicious cycle that hinders our understanding of these phenomena. If people are afraid to speak up, we lose valuable data and insights.
Exactly. We need to create a more supportive and open environment where people feel comfortable sharing their experiences without fear of judgment. Imagine if all those witnesses in Tully had felt safe to come forward right away.
Right.
We might have a much clearer picture of what happened.
It's a reminder that sometimes the biggest obstacle to understanding isn't a lack of evidence, but a lack of willingness to listen.
I think that's a profound insight. The Tully case highlights not just the mysteries of the universe, but also the complexities of human perception and the challenges of communication.
And it reminds us that sometimes the most valuable knowledge comes from those who dare to see the world differently. But unfortunately, we're out of time for this segment of our deep dive.
But don't worry, we'll be back after a short break to explore the cultural impact of the Tully saucer nest and what lessons we can take away from this enduring enigma.
Stay with us. You won't want to miss this. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Tully saucer nest incident. So we've covered a lot of ground, from eyewitness accounts and the physical evidence to official investigations and all those local whispers.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating case.
It is. So now let's take a step back and consider the bigger picture.
Nate.
What's the lasting impact of this case? What can we learn from it even decades later?
Well, the Tully incident, despite its remote location and the passage of time, hasn't really faded into obscurity. It continues to spark debate and fascination, and I think that speaks to its power as like a cultural touchstone.
Right.
It taps into our primal fears and fascinations, our enduring curiosity about what lies beyond the known.
It's like it gave a voice to that universal question we all ponder at some point. Are we alone in the universe?
Exactly, and whether you believe in extraterrestrial explanations or not, the Tully case kind of forces us to confront that question in a very tangible way. It makes the possibility of the impossible feel just a little bit more possible.
And it challenges us to rethink our assumptions about what we know and what we don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tully serves as a reminder that our scientific understanding is constantly evolving. There might be phenomena out there that we haven't even begun to comprehend, things that challenge our current models and theories.
So how do we approach investigating these kinds of incidents in a way that's both rigorous and open-minded?
Well, that's a question that researchers and scientists are grappling with even today. I think the Tully case highlights the need for a multidisciplinary approach.
Okay.
One that combines, scientific methodology with a willingness to consider alternative perspectives.
So it's not about abandoning science, but rather expanding its scope to accommodate the truly unexplained.
Precisely. We need to be open to new ideas and new ways of thinking, while still demanding evidence, critical analysis, and healthy skepticism. It's a delicate balance, but it's essential if we want to make progress in understanding these perplexing phenomena.
So what can we learn from the Tully saucer nest incident, not just about UFOs, but about ourselves and our place in the universe?
Well, I think Tully reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
We may never have all the answers, but the act of seeking, of questioning, is what drives us forward. And who knows, maybe someday with new technologies and a more open-minded approach, we'll finally crack the code of the Tully saucer nest.
And maybe that's not even the point.
Yeah.
Perhaps the real value lies in the journey itself, the exploration of the unknown, the expansion of our understanding.
I think you've hit on something profound there. The Tully saucer nest, with its enduring mystery, continues to inspire curiosity, debate, and a sense of wonder, and that, I believe, is its most lasting legacy.
It's a reminder that there's still so much out there waiting to be discovered, so many mysteries yet to be unraveled. And who knows, maybe you, our listeners, will be the ones to make those groundbreaking discoveries.
So keep your eyes on the skies, your minds open to possibilities, and never stop questioning the world around you.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Tully saucer nest incident. We hope you found it as fascinating and thought-provoking as we did.
Until next time, keep exploring the unknown.